question is, are you ready?
What do you guys want to talk about?
Let me talk to you.
Yeah.
Throwdown Nation, we are live. It is a Monday night. We are rolling on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitter/X, on Facebook, and on Twitch. It is episode 176 of the Throwdown, where we celebrate the art and sport of professional wrestling with a strong focus on the indies. I'm your host, Matt, and tonight we are throwing down with a wrestler based out of Northern California, and more importantly, a brother in Christ and a Christian speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, Mitch Valentine. How you doing?
Hey, doing good, man. Thanks for having me on the Throwdown, man. I'm ready to throw it down. Let's get it going. What's cracking? What's popping? What it be? What it do? What it gonna do?
Absolutely, man. And let me direct your attention to the ticker running on the bottom of the screen. That actually contains all, or at least most, of Mitch's social media accounts along with mine. So do us a favor. If you aren't a follower or subscriber, please take the time to go to each of our platforms and do so. It definitely helps both of us. And if you, those of you that are watching this live, if you have questions or comments, just throw them in the chat and we'll either handle them as we go or do a little Q&A at the end. So we'll go ahead and get started with the first and the most obvious question, and that is, how long have you been wrestling? How long have you been involved with the business?
Yeah. Well, I'll never forget the day, man. April 10th, 2006 was the very first day I drove out to the PCW work farm out here in Yuba City, California, and got in a wrestling ring for the very first time. I rolled into the ring like I thought I was Mick Foley, and the trainer at the time was like, "Hey, get out of this ring, do 100 push-ups, come sweep the ring, and let's show you how to get in this ring the right way." You know, which is, you got to wipe them feet, Matt. Got to wipe them feet.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So who actually trained you?
Yeah. So, I was given a flyer for this PCW work farm when I was about 16 by the same guy who put me through my first about month of training. His name's AJ Kirsch. He's also known as Broseph Joe Brody. He's done a lot of awesome things in the wrestling business. He won the Rock the Promo Championship on the Rock's YouTube channel. He's been interviewed by Larry King. He does all this stuff. He trained me my first month, but then the main trainer, the founder of PCW, is Zach Primetime Reeb, and I trained with him for about a decade, on and off, and we did a lot of not just training, partying, unfortunately, but I learned the whole wrestling business. I learned how to promote, and I learned how to, of course, wrestle and be an assistant trainer eventually. So, yep.
Nice, nice. So, going into professional wrestling, Did you have an athletic background before going into that? Had you played sports? Had you done any type of shoot martial arts? Any of that type of stuff that sort of gave you at least something of a background?
Yeah, I love basketball, but I was kind of a troublemaker, man. I had a big mouth, still kind of do. I just you know, keep a hold on it a little bit more now. Um but no, so I'd get kicked out of a lot of schools. I didn't get to play high school football. I didn't get to do high school wrestling, didn't get to do very much at all in high school. Um but I started believing when I was about 14 and I was 6 foot tall, 200 pounds. I was like, man, I think I can be a pro wrestler. Like I started lifting weights. I put on some good. I had good size and everything. I wasn't like huge, but I mean, I felt like, okay, I'm like Kurt Angle's size. I'm not an Olympic gold medalist. Ain't nobody. Ain't nobody, and nobody's like Kurt Angle. But I mean, just size wise, I felt like, okay, I think I can possibly do this. And then when I saw Ring of Honor and TNA, I was like, oh yeah, I was like, this maybe I'm not big enough or in good enough shape to make it to WWE, but I think I could do TNA. I think I could be an independent pro wrestler for sure. Yeah, I wish I had more belief in myself, but I didn't know God, so I didn't really, I wasn't really all in to life for me, man. I just was doing life my way, and so once I decided I was going to be a pro wrestler, I did start taking some kickboxing. Just learning some basic stuff. I was like, I got to learn whatever I can before I get into this wrestling ring. And I knew as soon as I turned 18, that's what I was going to do. My mom was like, "Listen, you're not doing it before you're 18. I'm not signing off on this. You need to go get a job, get a vehicle." And then you can go do what you like. So as soon as I turned 18, I got that truck, I got that job, and I drove off to that wrestling school. So
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, looking over at the Instagram chat, we've definitely got some people showing up. We've actually got tomorrow night's guest, another California guy, the real key factor, Keyshawn Calloway. We've also got another West Coast guy, Patrick Tully, in the chat, along with Matt Memories Wrestling Podcast and Totally Elevated.
right.
So,
What's up?
in terms of the early portions of your wrestling training, what would you say was the most challenging aspect of professional wrestling for you to wrap your mind and body around?
I mean, it would develop over the years. Like, the more you learn, the more challenges you're gonna face. But right away, bumping, man, bumping's no joke. If you don't have like a
No.
judo background or a jujitsu background, and you know how to, have some idea on how to land and fall and stuff, man, bumping is a wake up call. And I wasn't told right away you need to get all that air out of your lungs. So I was just like, I couldn't breathe barely the next day. And I was like, man, I got to rethink this whole thing. And I remember AJ
Yeah.
Kurtz was like, hey, man, go watch your favorite match. You'll be watching it in a different pair of eyes now that you're getting involved. And he's like, remind yourself why you want to do this. Because I was in pain that first week of bumping, man. I mean, I was having literal trouble breathing. So once I learned what I was doing there, I love to bump. Like I think it's the foundation of pro wrestling. So like now it's like I feel like I could just I bump so hard and I just love it so much. And that was definitely the first challenge though, for sure.
Gotcha, gotcha. So, getting ready for this, I sort of went down the Mitch Valentine rabbit hole a little bit. Looked at some of your stuff, and looking through your footage, I saw a clip of you and a younger and somewhat smaller Will Hobbs.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man, he is a big dude now. He looked a little smaller when you were tackling with him, but still a good sized fella. How
Yeah.
was that match?
Yeah, well, so not only I wrestled him a couple times, we wrestled, but we were actually tag partners. So
Really?
Will Hobbs and I, yeah, we were the tag team champions of PCW there for about 6 months or so. We had a lot of fun. We were Mitch Valentine and Will Rude at the time, before he was Will Hobbs, the dream team. And so we were kind of like the red, white, and blue, but like with that attitude of like the 90s dream team kind of thing, like we're the best, all this stuff, it was a lot of fun, man. He was, yeah, he started putting on size. I mean, he was always in great shape, and he just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun teaming with him. I wish we could have done it more, and I'm so happy and excited and proud to see what he's been doing
Oh
these
yeah.
last few years, man. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
man. He is, when I first saw him on AEW, I was like, this guy checks all the boxes. I mean, he's his ring work has always been good, but his mic work is really improving a great deal.
That's
So
what I was
I've
gonna
been,
say. Yeah, his
yeah,
promos have gotten light years better, man. You could tell he's really taking that serious. I watched his
yep,
promo he did on Hangman Page last week, and I was like, oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man. He's definitely putting the work in. He's always put the work in. He's always been the guy that travels around to different seminars because that's what you got to do, man. You can't just sit in your area. I always
right.
say that to younger wrestlers. You can't just sit in your hometown area and be like, well, I'm gonna somehow make it. It's like, no, you got to get on planes, you got to get in the car, and you got to go to other places and get in there with as many people as you can. As far as seminars and learning, I'm not saying wrestle every place you can, but go to the quality over quantity. Go to the right places.
Oh yeah, and the fact that they've put him in that faction with Samoa Joe and basically let him sit under that learning tree for a while, man, that's nothing but benefit for a young guy like Hobbs. I mean, that's great stuff.
Absolutely.
So, I'm presuming, based on the fact that this is the case for the majority of people I've had on the show, I'm presuming you've been at least a fan of this stuff the majority of your life. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, I didn't really like it when I was a young kid. I was like, these guys are fake fighting in their underwear. I didn't really like it. But then what happened, it was the 90s too. It was that what next generation era. And even into the attitude era, I was like 10 years old and Austin's drinking beer. I'm like, yeah, I'm not really connecting to this. But when I was about 12 or 13, my best friend Darnell, I always shout about, um, he was like, you got to check out The Rock, man. And this guy talks the smack, he backs it up. He's awesome. And I was like, all right. So I turned it on in like July of 2000. I was kind of a late bloomer. Like I said, 13 years old when I started watching. I was like, wow, The Rock's pretty awesome. And then you got Kurt Angle, you got Triple H, you got Jericho, all these other guys, man. So I was hooked. It took a minute, but once I started watching and we were able to, have a friend to talk about it with, and it was like, okay, I got more into wrestling than he ever did. I mean, and obviously, so yeah, it was July of 2000, July 6th. Man, I'm a numbers guy. I got these dates memorized. So it was July 6th, 2000. It was a SmackDown. That's when I first started watching.
Gotcha. Your audio is breaking up just a little bit.
Oh, sorry about that.
No problem. No problem. I just didn't know if there's
I
what.
hear that noise too. I don't know what's going on, but
Yeah. Um, so tell us about your faith journey. Because now you sort of walk in two worlds. You do obviously you still wrestle, but you also are a Christian speaker. So I want to hear about your faith journey and how all of this came about.
yeah. So I don't wrestle too much anymore. I wrestled last year in Chicago. I'm kind of at the end of the in ring stuff. Um, and what happened was, long story short, I basically accepted Jesus at the end of 2017, right after I turned 30, and then I had a match, And then I got a real bad concussion in that match, and I blamed God. I was like, "It's come on, man! I just got with you, and I get this concussion." And so, that was a there, just a lot of times you'll accept Jesus, right, and you'll start getting into your faith, and then you'll get off track, and so that definitely happened for me those first couple years. And then I also did a lot of stand-up comedy too. So I was doing the wrestling, I was doing these stand-up comedy shows in bars, like I mentioned earlier. There's a lot of partying in the wrestling business, and so I was really off track even after I accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior. And so then I finally realized in like 2021, I was like, you know what? I mean, I quit drinking in 2018, and that was the first step after, like I said, accepting Jesus. I quit drinking, and that was great. That was a great decision. 7 years sober, just celebrated being 7 years sober recently. But what happened then was,
Congratulations.
thank you, man. And I do hear that little bit of audio click, and I don't know what's going on there, but if
Yep.
we need to reset or
Yeah.
something, let me know. But what happened, like I said, a couple years after I accepted Jesus as my savior, and I quit drinking, I was like, you know what? I don't feel good about even hanging around with certain people, and I really don't feel good about doing these comedy shows and these bars. I don't feel good about some of the comedy that I was doing, and so I finally I started coming up with this idea of this event. I really like the idea of a variety show. I like music. I like comedy. I like, you know, motivational speaking, or just all kinds of stuff like mixed in together, and a little bit of everything, for people to enjoy. So I started doing these Words of Faith events. Finally, this year, actually. So that's my main passion, Matt, is doing these Words of Faith events, and it's Christian comedy, it's Christian music, and then we get somebody up there to hit them with a sermon at the end. And I've hosted, right? That's what I do, is I host these events, and I've hosted a lot of events over the years. And it all started in wrestling. Like, I was a ring announcer when I was 19. So coming up on 20 years since I first got in the ring, man, and just so much has happened. And I just am so thankful that we have a forgiving God that has forgiven me for all my mistakes. Matt made a lot of mistakes back in the day, and there were some mishaps too, and a few misunderstandings. But now we're on track, man, and we're still gonna slip up. There's still gonna be you know problems or things that happen, and I guess to answer your question in a long story short, um, I got Romans 10:17 right here, man. Faith comes by hearing, and hearing through the word of God. So, no matter what's going on, you got to remember to stay grounded and rooted in the word. That's what I do, and it could be listening to a sermon, or listening to some Christian music, reading your Bible, or just shutting down everything and just having that talk with God, just you and Him. So, yeah, God is my life, man. He's my creator. Is a huge part of everything I do, and I've just over the years, just totally transformed and changed. My goals have changed, and everything has changed over the years. So, yeah.
Absolutely, man. So, we're mostly a wrestling related show, but we do dabble a little bit into pop culture. So you were mentioning Christian music. Are you listening to anything really cool right now that you'd like to shout out?
Oh yeah, man. Well, one of my best friends goes to my church out here. He's a big part of the reason I go to the church that I've been going to these last 8 years. His name's Young Lex. You can catch him on Spotify, YouTube, the whole deal. That's YUNGLEXX. This guy, to me, man, he's the best. Like, I'm a big fan of hip hop, right? So like I still love Eminem here and there. A lot of people don't realize Eminem actually talks about God, and has for a long time in his music. He just has a lot of other stuff that he throws in there too. But
Yeah.
but yeah, so big fan of Young Lex. Shout out to him. Big fan of a lot of the Christian rappers that most of the people probably know, like Forrest Frank or KB or Lecrae. Um, so yeah, that's what I still listen to some worldly music. You know, like I said, I
Oh
got the
yeah.
Eminem, I got the 50 Cent sometimes. I like a little bit of rock too. I like a little bit of Disturbed. I thought Disturbed was gonna be my wrestling theme song. Funny story, man. I thought I was gonna be this like really tough, mean, like bad wrestler, like Samoa Joe, but the white guy, the white Samoa Joe. And I thought I was gonna be this big tough wrestler, and my trainer was like, "No, here's what you're gonna do, man. You're gonna come out dancing, and you're gonna be the heartbreaker." So
Okay, Shawn Michaels.
yeah, exactly, man. I'm like, what? I'm like, I don't dance. Like, there's already the heartbreak kid. He's like, no, but you're the heartbreaker. It's a big difference, you know.
Yeah.
You're gonna. Oh man. So, anyways, so yeah, so that's that. But yeah, I love music, man. My mom's a singer. I love some country music. I love some old Sam Cooke, probably one of my favorite singers of all time. Like I said, rock, big hip hop guy. So yeah, I'm all over the place with the music.
Well, it's funny, when I first started doing live streaming, I've been doing this basically since January of 2024, and the first 6 months or so that I was doing this show, I was actually doing a similar type of thing, but I was actually talking with unsigned bands. I'm a hobbyist musician. I play bass and rhythm guitar. So I was talking with musicians for the first 6 months or so, and then I expanded the content to include indie wrestling, and I discovered that it was easier to get bookings with wrestlers than it was with musicians, at least as far as reliable bookings. So the focus shifted heavily toward wrestling. We still do some music episodes here and there, but we're mostly a wrestling show at this point. But yeah, man, I'm with you on music, man. Music and wrestling and God are my three things. So
Right. That's right. Got to make a joyful noise, though, right? We need that
oh yeah,
joyfulness.
yeah, yeah. You were mentioning, some of the Christian and more positive, hip hop type artists. Somebody that I really like a lot is NF. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, he's got some really good stuff. So, are you? Well, it sounds like you are originally a California guy. Have you pretty much been out there your whole life?
Yeah. I've pretty much been in California, Northern California, my whole life. I did live in St. Louis for about a year. Like I said, I recently went out there, flew out there last year. I have family out there. I got to wrestle in Chicago, but most of my wrestling and stuff has been in Northern California, and Nevada. And I did have the one Chicago match. I almost wrestled in Pennsylvania one time, but that's a whole nother story.
Gotcha. Yeah, another guy from your neck of the woods that's really making a big splash right now is Jacob Fatu. I know he's a Northern California guy, and man, it's been good to see WWE really pulling the trigger on him, because the sky's the limit with that guy. I mean, he's another one that really checks all the boxes.
He's great, man. I did a few shows with him out here. He kicked me in the face one time. I never got my payback for that, but he's one of the real ones, man. He is exactly that character that he's starting to be allowed to be. He's very Bay Area. He's very NorCal. Um, very cool, very down to earth, very fun to be around, and he was always nothing but gracious and awesome to me. And I just wish I could have wrestled him more. Like we just kind of barely did. We did like a segment one time in the ring, and like I say, he kicked me in the face. But yeah, I wish I could have got a match with him. But I'm so glad to see what he's doing now. I can't wait for him to come back. I think that guy's I think that guy's a WrestleMania main eventer. I really do. I can definitely see that
Oh, for
happening.
sure. Yeah, yeah. And you still owe him a receipt. So I mean, hopefully that'll happen someday. Who knows?
Who knows?
So what would you say is your favorite thing about Northern California?
Um, the scenery, man. I mean, there's mountains, there's trees, there's rivers everywhere. I live in kind of a smaller town, because Northern California, a lot of people don't they think, oh, it's San Francisco, Sacramento. Well, no, keep going up a little more north, and that's where I'm at. You know, it's a small there's a lot of small town vibes up here, and just a lot of beautiful scenery. I'm a big uh, I like to be outdoors and go hiking and stuff, and I like to see beautiful waterfalls and mountains, um, and that's definitely what Northern California provides. And another guy,
Gotcha.
I'm here in the Chico, Orville. I'm actually originally from Paradise, the three towns that I've kind of migrated through, in this area. And Brian Cage is a guy that is from this area as well, a guy that I was able to train with. So Chico, California is known for Brian Cage. It's known for Aaron Rodgers, and it's known for Mitch Valentine.
Gotcha. I had actually on his social media recently, it looks like Brian Cage is going through a spiritual journey himself. Man, I wish him all the best with that, man. The more believers in the business, the better.
I think Brian's always been a believer. I just think he's recently, with the injury and everything, I think he's just got a lot more serious with it. I still talk to him here and there. When he's in town, sometimes we'll get a workout in. Dang, bro, you get in the gym with Brian Cage, you're going to be sore for like a month.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. I mean, that guy is a physical specimen. I
Yeah,
mean,
and again, he's always been like that, much like Will Hobbs. just always just getting bigger every year and putting the work in, and getting in the car and just driving everywhere, getting on the plane, flying everywhere. I mean, it's no surprise that those two guys are where they are. And yeah, it's just I love seeing them. Like they've wrestled a few times in AEW too. I'm like, that's so awesome. Um, and I do, yeah. Brian's recently got baptized, and he's battling through this injury. He's going to be feeling a lot better here soon, and yeah, nothing but the best for him, man. Yeah, I love to see it. I love
yep,
to see believers in pro wrestling. I love to see unashamed believers. Guys like AJ Styles. Just not ashamed of the gospel. They're ready to talk about it. That's
yeah.
what's up.
Yeah, I completely agreed. Another, since we're on the subject of believers in the business, another guy. Have you seen Nathan Frazier? He's right now. He and his tag team partner Axiom are wrestling as a tag team on the SmackDown brand, but he is a very strong believer, and he's got two separate Instagram accounts, one for his wrestling stuff and the other for his Christian stuff. And so definitely check him out.
I
He's
will.
got a lot of great content in both, and amazing in the ring. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, definitely good stuff.
I'll check that out.
So, so, you know, if you can narrow it down to one or two, tell us about your favorite match that you've been a part of.
Man. When I'd wrestle my trainer, we always had a really good time. I felt like we could have had better matches too, and I mean, we only wrestled a few times, and I know what we were doing in training, so I know that there was always potential there. But I had this kid. He's a little redhead kid, and I remember I picked him up for his first day of training, and just 5'6", long red hair, like I don't know if this guy's gonna make it, man. And he just kept showing up, and just a really good guy too. And so I just remember having some matches with him. In particular, I used to love to do birthday party shows, because it's
Hmm.
just all about the kids, man. Like that's, to see all these kids have a good time. To me, that was kind of what it's all about, is to just see the kids out there, not out there doing, stupid stuff, but here congregating, being together, laughing, smiling, yelling, enjoying the show, and so we did this birthday party for this like disabled kid in a wheelchair, and so
Hmm.
that match, I wish I had the footage. Right, it's always that match. I don't have the footage of it, but I know it was like my favorite match because it's like I just remember like him like holding my arms back, and like the disabled young man like giving me a chest chop, and just like
Hmm.
little things like that, like, and the smile on his face, when he's doing it, and all his friends cheering him on, like that's what it's about. And his name, the redhead kid, is P Daddy Patrick P Daddy Abbott, probably one of my favorite opponents, as well as my trainer, Zach Primetime Reeb. My last match was a good time. I wrestled Bucky Collins out there in near Chicago. That was a good time too. So I had a lot of good matches, and I think my best match is my next match.
Absolutely. Well, having also seen some of your stuff as far as the Christian ministry stuff, I can definitely see that your background as an in-ring entertainer definitely has given you a lot of flair and a lot of energy with what you do in ministry now. And so uh, do you feel like having that background has been beneficial for what you are really focusing your life on now?
Absolutely. I feel like God is like, he put these desires in my heart, like of wanting to be in the wrestling business for a reason. I was a shy young kid. Like I was just like, I don't know, very insecure, very shy. And I started getting in the wrestling business. I started being promoting wrestling, if you're going to promote a wrestling show, you're going to be out there with your flyers or whatever, talking to people, getting sponsors, selling tickets. You got to have some confidence, man, because these people ain't going to buy a ticket from you or a sponsorship from you if you don't believe what you're talking about. So I started to learn pretty young, like, okay, I got to start. I'm a pro wrestler. I'm going to be a pro wrestler. I got to start believing that I am great, because
Yeah.
if you don't believe that, nobody else is going to believe that. So I started like really believing in myself, and then realizing like every gift I have, anything good that I have is from above. So all glory is to God for everything that I've done or am able to do and am gonna do going forward. So yeah, wrestling, being a host, like a ring announcer, I call it a host because you're the host of the show, and
Right.
we used to draw like 500-600 fans every month. So I'm like 19 years old, and in the middle of this ring with this microphone, and there's 600 fans, and I'm like, "Hey, everybody!" So it was like that was that was life changing for me for sure. And now I think about it, like I do believe like I'm meant to have a microphone in my hand in front of a large audience. So or an audience, if 5 people are moved by something that I'm able to say that comes from God, then I've done my job. So yeah, wrestling is still a huge passion of mine. I still love it just like I did 20, 30 years ago. But I know as I get close to 40 here that my wrestling, my matches, are going to be few and far between. And I want to be able to I want to physically feel good until I'm, 100 years old or however long I live, because man, the wrestling business takes a toll on people, man. It
It
beats you up.
does. It does. It's definitely not an easy lifestyle. So, when you were, I guess, more actively working as a wrestler, did you have a preference between working heel or babyface, or did it really not matter to you? It was just a whatever the situation calls for, or did you have a preference?
Man, 95% of my wrestling career I was a heel. I love the idea of being a babyface, and I had some fun matches as a babyface, especially like later on in my career. I learned, okay, like, you really figured out. But it was cool to be a heel most of the time, because I felt like I was a little bit of a control freak, where like I want to control the pace, and like I know I have like some great ideas, and and the heel basically kind of does control the match, so
Right.
I was always more comfortable as a heel. Plus I mean, to get people to hate you is it's easier, right, than to get people to
Yeah.
like you. But I felt too, especially in my 20s, and maybe even sometimes now, like I've been natural heel. Like people either they like me or they just can't stand me. Like that's just my normal life. So I do try to I'm just me, but obviously when I'm in wrestling, the characters turn way up um to a ridiculous level, and it's just more fun to be a heel too. Like I'm just yeah. So I'd love to wrestle. Like I wrestled a few matches over the last few years as a babyface, but I would love I'd like to wrestle my trainer as a babyface, because he was always the babyface and I was always the heel. So I think that would be cool. But man, I just there's no feeling like getting that crowd to just cheer for that opponent, because it's all about the thing about a heel too is you're putting over your opponent, right? And I want to make my opponent look great. So I took pride in that. Like I still take pride in that. You want to get these people not to love you. I don't need that. I want them to love him. And if they do, then my job is done right. And I just man, it's so much fun. So
Exactly. So, do you have an all-time favorite match as a fan? A match that just really speaks to you. You find yourself kind of gravitating back to it, and it never really gets old. And there's always some new little something you can pull from it.
man, I've been watching a lot of TNA from like '05, '06, '07 lately. They had a lot of good
Oh
matches
yeah.
back then with
Mm-hmm.
Willow and Styles and Joe. I always look at that 2000 to 2005. My first 5 years as a fan is like that's like the golden years to me. And if you look at the content, man, and the storylines and the matches, it is kind of hard to argue with all those Angle Benoits, those Angle Lesnars, Angle
Oh yeah.
Rock Austin. I mean, oh man, if I had to pick one, like it's tough. It's definitely going to be a Kurt Angle match. The Rock's my favorite wrestler of all time, but I look at Kurt Angle as the greatest wrestler of all time. So, gosh, man, a Rock Angle match is great. Rock Angle. Maybe at No Way Out when Rock won that title back before he went on to wrestle Austin, was good. It's hard to pick a favorite match, man. I mean, so Angle Benoit, that Rumble was an
Oh
incredible
yeah.
match. I mean, it's a lot of those tag matches that Angle and Benoit had on SmackDown with the Guerreros or Edge and Mysterio, and it's hard to watch Chris Benoit for a lot of people. I get it, but as a student of the game, like I'm sorry, man, but if watch Benoit if you're a young wrestler, because there's
Oh,
no one that was more
absolutely.
believable in that ring than Chris Benoit. So
I completely agree. I've said on the show on multiple occasions. I can separate Chris Benoit's body of work from the man himself and how things ended up with him. I mean, I still maintain that Chris Benoit, the wrestler, is one of the best to ever do it. I mean, you know, I admire and respect his work, but you know, terrible human being. But I
Yeah.
mean, but amazing worker. And you know, as far as Kurt Angle goes, you know, probably the best pure wrestler to ever do it. I mean, you know, the guy could truly do it all and could really wrestle against anybody in any style and look like $1,000,000 doing it. And you know, anybody that can win a gold medal with a broken neck, I mean, you know, you've got to give that guy his props. I mean, just an amazing talent.
Yeah, I'll tell you the best match I ever saw live was Kurt Angle and Eddie Guerrero, 2 out of 3 falls in Sacramento. Just being in the crowd for that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Kurt's the man. You know, that's one guy that hope to shake his hand one day and just say, "Hey, man, thank you for everything you've done for this business." And it's true, it's damn
Yeah,
true.
yeah, absolutely. You know, it's funny being an Atlanta guy. Um, the One of my most memorable live moments as a wrestling fan is I was in the Georgia Dome back in '98 when Goldberg went over on Hogan for the WCW title. And you know, the being having that happen in Atlanta, the roar was insane when that match ended. I mean, you know, and just being there and experiencing that wall of sound was just unreal. I mean,
That
uh, yeah, that's one of my coolest wrestling memories as far as actually being there and experiencing a moment. That was definitely very cool.
that was a moment for sure.
Yeah. So, you know, piggybacking on the all-time favorite match question, do you have an all-time favorite promo as a fan?
Man, you asked the tough questions, Matt. I love again just Rock and Angle, man. Just the comedy they could pull off, like
Oh yeah.
you know, it was just so good. Especially in like that 2000 era, you know, when
Hmm.
everybody would come out for a promo.
And
Um,
they're all trying to get each other to break. You know, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, because Kurt, man, Kurt was great as just like being like a badass, like wrestling machine. But when Kurt
yeah.
would do comedy, like that stuff with
Oh
Mysterio, you're
yeah,
a boy in a man's world. Like the stuff he did with Taker, like with the scooter, like of course him and The Rock just trading jabs was good. I'll tell you one of my favorite promos. I think it was Atlantic, not Atlanta, but Atlantic City. All right, The Rock came back from like a movie, and it was right after Austin left, and it was on SmackDown, and Kurt Angle just got his head shaved, and so The Rock's doing his thing. He's cutting his promo, and here comes Angle, and The Rock's just looking at him like, who are you? Who in the blue hell are you? And
yeah,
it's just, it's just it's just good time. He called him like Doctor Evil or whatever he did, and
yeah.
just Rock and Angle to me, man. It's just those two. Anything they did together, in the ring or on the mic, that's gonna be my favorite stuff for sure.
Gotcha. So, you know, I mean, obviously, you were saying that your in ring career is largely in the rear view, but this could be present day or past. Who would be a dream opponent? Who would you love to have the opportunity to share a ring with?
Well, you could probably guess. Again, I can't say enough great things about Rock and Angle. I mean, I always dreamed. I thought it'd be amazing to of course be in there with those guys.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I'm sure Kurt would just gas me out so fast, and The Rock's such a huge star, and but it's like now, like going forward, I'm like, I still have these guys that maybe I thought I would wrestle. I still have them on my list for guys that maybe I could work with somehow, some way, well, for whatever. I don't give up on those hopes and those dreams, man. I think we're given our dreams for a reason. So yeah, again, just yeah, to get in there with a Rock or a Kurt Angle, man, would just be amazing. Whether in the ring or, like I said, just in front of a camera, or just have some coffee with, man. I really
Yeah.
admire those guys a lot for just not only the wrestlers and entertainers that they are, but for the kind of people that they are as well.
Oh, for sure, for sure. So, you were mentioning earlier that after the initial, I guess, shock factor of it, that you got to where you really enjoyed bumping. Um, what would you say was the worst bump you have ever taken?
Hmm. I was never really comfortable with what's called a front bump, when you're basically just like planting face down onto the mat. I never was really comfortable with taking that. I always kind of found a different way to take those type of bumps. And truth be told, that's how the only time I really ever got hurt in the ring was when I was taking like just a simple flatliner off the middle rope, and I just took it weird. And I separated my shoulder real bad. And so that was like definitely the worst bump, the worst injury. Um, Not a good time. I don't recommend it. Um, and I'll say this too: if there's any, if you're not comfortable taking a move, don't do it. Like, I don't care if you're talking to a 20-year vet and they're like, "Oh no, I got you. I'll take." Listen, if you're not comfortable, don't do it. Stand up for yourself and put your health first, because you only get one body in this life. You got to take care of it.
Yep, absolutely. So, what is your favorite move? What is something you just really enjoy doing? And on the flip side of that, was there a move that you generally wouldn't do, or you would at least rather not do? And that can be giving or receiving.
Well, what's funny, man? A lot of guys, they don't like taking back body drops. Like, they're like, "Oh, this is so scary." I get it. Initially, it is, but for me, that's probably the funnest move to take for me. I love taking a good back body drop, and the crowd is like, because I'm a bigger guy, so like seeing a guy my size do that, it's pretty cool, and it's fun, and I mean, I'm not gonna say it doesn't hurt at all, but I mean, everything in the ring, to a degree, it's gonna hurt a little bit. Um, but again, young wrestlers, like, the harder you bump, the harder you attack that mat, the less pain you're gonna feel. And it's just about repetition, and putting the time in the training. Don't just get on a show before you're ready. Make sure that you get your training in, and that you um, are ready for what's going to happen on a show. And as far as moves I don't like to take, like I said, any kind of face bump, I just wasn't real comfortable. Didn't want to mess up the face, didn't want to. I just didn't like that. I also didn't like the pile driver. I was like, there ain't no way I'm taking a pile driver. When I took one, and it was the whole story of our program. It was a guy that I trusted, but again, I was still a little hesitant. But we made a whole storyline out of it. It was so that was cool. But I'll never take another pile driver. Anything where I'm upside down, that ain't happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, and yeah, I'm very very selective about what I take, because I am a big guy, man. Like, now, like, being 6'2", 275, that's a big guy in wrestling now, because there's a lot of guys that are five
Hmm.
that aren't even close to 6 foot tall, and they're very skinny and stuff like that. It's not like it was 20, 30 years ago.
It's
So
yeah, it definitely used to be the land of the giants, and now it's virtually any size or body type can be out there doing it. So
yeah, which I feel like you're gonna have a tough time selling tickets to people if you don't look like, if someone's sitting in the crowd and they're like, I could clearly take this guy, they're probably not going to buy another ticket to come watch you again. You got to take it serious, man. If you're going to do it, I mean, I get it. Some people just want to be weekend warriors or whatever. That's cool. But for the most part, I don't know. I just feel like people need to take it more serious. They need to be in the gym. They need to be strong enough to protect their opponents and the people they're in the ring
right,
with.
right, absolutely. So knowing everything that you know at this point in your life, if you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Don't drink. Don't drink alcohol, drink water. Just drink water when you're at the party. You know, yeah, be mindful of what you're putting in your body. Alcohol, bad food, what you're listening to, what you're watching, what you're speaking, right? This is kind of biblical stuff, but it's like, seriously, man, what you watch, what you listen to, the people that you surround yourself with, what you speak out of your mouth. I mean, that's going to dictate your life.
Yeah. Yeah, they say garbage in, garbage out, and yeah, there's definitely a lot to be said for that, and there's a whole lot of garbage out there. So, what is your take on the role that social media is playing as a promotional tool in both wrestling and ministry?
Um, I think it's cool, man. When I started, it was MySpace was the big thing.
Oh yeah.
It's a great promotional tool. I think that you should also, what I like to do sometimes is, if I find myself on it too much, take a break, take a week off, take a couple days off, whatever. Like it's healthy, but it's also, it could be unhealthy depending on how much of your time it's taken. And how is it affecting you mentally? If you're looking at, a lot of people are, they're comparing themselves to, I see this and this and this, and my life's not good because this person's doing this and I'm not. And so there's a lot of that. I think people need to be more in the real world. I think it can be unhealthy, but I think it can be a powerful tool as well to get your message across, to promote your event. So yeah, I think it's got positives and negatives, just like anything else.
Absolutely. So, during your time wrestling, did you have a favorite venue that you just really enjoyed wrestling in, or were they all kind of the same?
We have a venue here, the town that I live in now, Oroville, California. It was called the Oroville Municipal Auditorium, just like the old school days of them being in the municipal auditoriums. Of course,
Oh yeah,
I called it the Mitch Municipal Auditorium.
of
Um,
course. Because why wouldn't
it's
you?
the It was the first venue that I attended as an independent show. I took tickets at the door on my first night when I was 18. When I first started training, I rolled up to this building. I'd never been to an independent show, and I was already starting to train. I'd only been to WWE shows. So I roll up, and I'm taking tickets at the door, and there's 500 people that pack in, and I see it all go down, and I'm just like, wow. And then I start doing security, and I'm like, oh, wow. And then I'm the ring announcer, I'm the host. I'm like, oh man. And again, like every month we're packing 500 people into this building. It's a very small town up here in Northern California. There's not a lot going on. The wrestling came to town and they came out in droves. And we had a lot of guys on the show they looked like they were in WWE, man. They were just big old jacked up guys. It looked like a real deal, WWE light kind of show. Um, Really amazing talent back in those days when I started. And so so that building's got a lot of special memories for me. It's where I would end up starting to wrestle and become the champion and all this cool stuff that I got to do. So that's definitely the special building for me. But anywhere I got to wrestle, it holds a special place in my heart, man, for sure. Because you know I, all I wanted to do was just have one match. I was like, I just gotta have. It was such a battle for me to have one match because like my training school shut down. I didn't have a place to train for the first couple years. I had to like go on the road and like learn when I could. And like I said, I learned how to promote an entire event before I even knew how to lock up and grab a headlock and do a tackle and all this stuff. So yeah, I mean the Orville Municipal Auditorium would be the answer for you.
Got you. Got you. So noticing over in the Instagram chat, we've now been joined by Gold Sparrow 27. And we're getting toward the end of things now. So do you have well, you mentioned that you're really focused on other things besides wrestling, but do you have any upcoming shows or anything at all that you'd like to give some hype to?
Yeah, with the wrestling, like I do plan on getting in the ring in 2026. I really hope to wrestle Austin Aries next year, to be honest. I have a couple guys that I really want to wrestle, and he's right at the top of the list. I do a podcast. It's called Wrestling with Purpose on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@GotMitchOnline. And then yeah, mainly what I do is Christian, events, faith-based events where maybe I'm dropping a testimony or I'm hosting. I have a few events in December here in Oroville. I have our next Words of Faith event in Oroville at the Kingdom Community Church on January 31st. Um, and we have I also do some clean comedy. So up in the Reading Anderson area, I have a few events going on there in January. Like I said, a few events in December going on. That's definitely what keeps me the most busy. And you can see all that stuff at Got Mitch Online on Instagram. I'm always trying to stay pretty active on there and post my events. And yeah, man, this has been cool, man. I really I love how professional your setup is, man. You're doing a great job. Congratulations on
Thank you.
almost 200 episodes. Yeah, man, keep doing your thing. And thanks for having me on the podcast.
Absolutely, man. This has been a lot of fun, and doing all of this really has been just a labor of love for me. I mean, I've been a fan since I was 11, and I just turned 56. So
Wow.
and life can take you some interesting directions if you let it. And being a small part of a business I've loved for 45 years has just been the coolest thing in the world. I've gotten to meet some amazing people doing this, and focusing on the indies has just been a real treat. Being a part of telling the story of people chasing a dream is just it's the coolest thing in the world. I mean, you know and as far as what we've got coming up on the show, like I mentioned, tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern, we've got a rescheduled episode 174. And our guest is another California based guy, young guy, definitely up and coming in the business, the real key factor, Keyshawn Calloway. And then this coming Sunday, the 30th at noon, 12 p.m. Eastern, I've actually got a wrestler from the UK, Martin Cardia, who's coming on. I've actually had several people from the UK on the show, and it's always a treat to have those folks on and hear about the scene over there. but you know, because of the time difference and everything, it takes a little bit of doing, and we usually have to do those on the weekend just to deal with the time difference. And you know, recently, this was really a time difference that took some figuring out. But recently, I had a girl from Gold Coast, Australia, on the show, and that's a 14-hour time difference from the U.S. East Coast. So I had to actually do that on a Friday night at 11 p.m. my time, which was 1 p.m. the next day her time. So, but you know, you make it happen, and you just you embrace the grind, and you just do your thing.
That's right. I like to say, make dreams happen, man. That's what you're doing, man. That's what we're all doing out here, chasing these dreams. We got to make these dreams happen, and it's all love.
Absolutely, man. And you know, and also trying to be a conduit for you know, God's light and glory in what can sometimes be a very dark business is also just a very cool thing. So
Absolutely, man. I got the Romans 10:17 on, but let me hit you with Romans 12:21, Matt. What's that? Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. That's all you can do.
absolutely. And on that note, until tomorrow night at 7 with the real key factor, Keyshawn Calloway, be good to each other,